you?
Doing good. How about you?
Doing good.
Oscar Velasquez with Hormel. Do you mind if I set my stuff down?
Oh, absolutely not.
Awesome. Take a seat.
Home.
Well, I've got my business card here, and it's an updated contact, so I'd love to exchange
great.
business cards with you, so I have a way to follow up with you as well.
Here you are, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I had a chance to go to the soccer game this weekend.
Oh, yeah?
The kids finally won the championship. I was pretty excited.
Yeah.
I know your husband was rooting loud, and he was proud,
Well,
too.
he's typically pretty loud and boisterous, so.
There you go. Well, I'm excited to hear that. And I know at the game you mentioned you really wanted to explore some new opportunities to kind of improve your variety of the product mix you have at the stores at Fast and Fresh. And I'm excited to do that here today with you.
Okay.
So, as we begin, I just want to make sure we still have 20 minutes. Is that
That's
the case?
correct. You bet.
Alrighty. Well, I'm excited to talk with you today because we have the opportunity to discuss $100,000 worth of business that we want to bring to Fast and Fresh. I know in our previous meeting you expressed an interest in really being on the forefront in everything that we do and really staying ahead of the competitor, and that being Walmart. So I wanted to provide both monetary value and product variety to provide your customers with the ultimate shopping experience and really retain your customers and grow your customer base.
Okay.
Does that sound like something you would be interested in learning more about?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, as we go through our time here together, I really want to make it focused around you and what your concerns are and what you would be interested in learning about. So, are there 3 areas that you'd like us to explore today when discussing new product variety?
I think there's one, and it's actually my sales. So, before the appointment, I knew you were going to come in. I pulled our store data, and you can see this is a 6-month trend, and what we see is that both our dollars and units are down 44% since our launch.
Okay.
So we're at the point now where 6 months in, and as you know, on a new product, we evaluate for 6 months. We're not sure if Rev's going to make it. It's not hitting our sales thresholds. We see continuous declines month to month. So we're just really not happy with where we are with sales.
Okay, and when we're looking at these numbers, you mentioned a decline of 44%. What do you see as the biggest opportunity for improvement with this product on your shelves?
Oh, well, we have it slotted. We got it on the shelf very quickly. We got it slotted right next to the hot dogs and bacon because we did that reset. We have a retail price around $2.39. We think we're being competitive, but obviously the consumer's not picking it up, so we're not driving the sales that we expected.
Okay, and you mentioned you had this product slotted next to the bacon. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and help me understand the store layout. I have an image here of a couple of the stores that I had the opportunity to visit, and so does this look pretty accurate with what you're seeing in your stores?
Right, because not all of our stores are the same, so obviously we're going to have a little bit of variation, but yeah, that's pretty typical of what our store sets are.
Okay, and in regards to placement, where do you typically see your Oscar Mayer Lunchables?
It's in the lunch meat category, so it would be, it wouldn't be next to bacon and hot dogs, but it would be probably the adjacent
okay, so
set.
So maybe over here somewhere?
Yeah, you bet.
All right. And when placing the product next to the bacon, what was the idea behind that? Was there a strategy to really drive the sales?
Yeah, our strategy is just to get it in as fast as we can. So we were doing the bacon and hot dog resets, so we wanted to make sure that we got the new product on the shelf as quickly as possible.
Okay, and in terms of product placement, are you open to discussing new layouts and different options?
At this point, we're up to discussing anything because this is my number one goal. Obviously, is sales. So we want to make sure that we're able to turn this around. So any recommendations, absolutely, I'm open to.
Okay, and as you recall in our first meeting, my commitment to you is really to stand side by side with you and make sure that we don't see numbers like this, and we really do promote the product and drive those sales in the right direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a couple recommendations in terms of product placement, as well as bringing in 4 new SKUs that we have.
Wow, that's ambitious given these numbers.
I agree completely, but I've got some reports here that I'd love to show you that are really going to improve your view and your overall perception of the Hormel RevWrap and why we want to drive those new products in.
Great.
What I would recommend is we take these Hormel RevWraps and try and get them slotted right next to Oscar Mayer Lunchables, maybe over here in this adjacent corner as you mentioned. And the reasoning behind that is when we did the market research on this product, we didn't necessarily feel that we were taking away or cannibalizing the sales of Oscar Mayer Lunchable, but rather we found that our consumers were really graduating away from Lunchables and looking for the next big thing.
Okay.
And that's where Rev really fills the shoes. So once kids are graduating from Oscar Mayer Lunchable, they're looking for the Hormel RevWrap.
So I'm just a little information about Lunchables. Growing category. Nationally, it represents about $1 billion business, so very, very competitive in terms of what we call real estate. So when we're looking at items, we want to make sure that they all hit the sales threshold in order to compete next to Lunchables. So the recommendation is if we put Rev next to Lunchables, some Lunchables are going to have to come out. So that's a big concern. I mean, I don't think we can have 8 items in the Lunchable set knowing the space that that's going to occupy and how valuable that real estate is to us.
Okay, well, rather than taking out the Lunchables, like you said, they are a very strong brand, and the real estate value behind Lunchables is clearly something that's important to you, and that's due to the sales that they drive. What I'm recommending is that we maybe shift some of our other products in the deli meat area over, creating space so that this product really complements. It doesn't take away from the Oscar Mayer Lunchable, but really adds and drives value through the Lunchable into the Rev. Does that sound like something we could create?
Okay, so what do you any idea what items to maybe discontinue then?
I mean, that's something that's really up to you. I don't have a lot of the information on what items are doing super well or what you'd like to see improvement with.
Okay.
I'm open to a number of different strategies, but really I think where we're going to see the most success with the Rev Wrap is right next to that Lunchable as a complement product to really graduate from the Lunchable to the Rev Wrap. So does that address your concern with product placement and why we might not be seeing the sales figures that we're hoping for?
Yeah, I think that it makes a lot of sense. Just the way you explained it with the consumer and the shopping behavior and really targeting those teens and millennials. I think that's probably a good recommendation.
Okay, and as you remember from the game this weekend, we're here to discuss 4 more of the Hormel Rev Wrap products that we have. What we have here are the turkey and cheese, the ham and Swiss, the ham and turkey, and then the ham and pepperoni. Mm-hmm. And these are 4 new innovative SKUs that we've come up with, and we've tested them in the market. And what we're seeing is that these 4 are really the next wave, and that's where I want to talk with you about staying ahead of the game. Mm-hmm. You mentioned in our first meeting that Walmart is always something you're struggling to compete with.
Right.
And my commitment to you is to make sure that we stay on the forefront. And that's really what these 4 SKUs allow us to do. Mm-hmm. And so what we're seeing is not only a new 4 SKUs, but an increase in product variety.
Okay.
And I'm sure
Is Walmart carrying them?
As far as I know, I'm not in charge of that account. Right now, they are not.
Okay.
So this is something that we have an opportunity to capture new market with. And I'm sure you guys read the IBIS World Report on industry data and all of these things. But there's a couple of key things I'd like to point out here. And the first being the importance of variety. Okay. So what this says here is producers must anticipate and respond to changes in consumer preference. And in doing so, in a timely manner, they must remain competitive in the industry. So successful companies have brands that consumers consider to be of superior quality, and that's where we have the Rev. And with that superior quality comes a commodity price increase that is often passed on to your consumers, and that's where we have our suggested retail of $2.39. Mm-hmm. But many of the industry producers tend to be homogeneous in nature. So what we're saying here is what you're going to find at the Walmarts and the other local big chains is that they're carrying the same product, and it's really hurting them in the bottom line. And what we want to do is bring the most variety to your consumers.
Okay.
So
do you know what items Walmart's carrying then? Because if we don't want to match up, then I think maybe we should discontinue 4 of these items and put in the 4 new ones. That way we won't mimic what Walmart has.
That's an excellent question. So your concern is maybe we should be pulling some of the current Revs out and
right. I mean, if we want to have
a
differentiated set, and knowing that we're pretty much landlocked in terms of space, especially in that highly competitive category, and if it's so important to have variety, maybe we should flop out the 4 items and flop in 4 new ones, and then have the differentiated set compared to what Walmart's having.
Okay, and so if we choose to go down that route, my biggest concern is that we might start losing some market share, because if we start taking away from the variety, we do have some of our consumers and shoppers who are dedicated to those brands. So if we start pulling what's already on our shelves, we could have the potential to lose a lot of market share.
Okay.
I like to think of it similar to when you walk down the back-to-school aisle and you buy a box of crowns. You're never looking for one color.
Right.
In fact, you want all the colors in one box, and we want to provide all the variety in one area.
Okay.
And so that's what we're really looking to do with the Rev Wrap here. So does that address your concern on why we need to continue with these 8 SKUs as well?
I think variety is important. I'm not sold on dedicating that much space in my category to an item that's down 44%. That's a pretty big risk for me to incur, and honestly, I think it'd be tough to go back to my boss and say I'm going to expand out on an item, and here are the sales.
Absolutely, and at the end of the day, my goal is to really make sure that these numbers take a 180 and begin moving the other direction. And so one of the ways I think we can really do that, and we have opportunity to do that, is through sampling.
Okay.
I know in our first meeting, part of my commitment was making sure that I followed through with you on a few of the promotional strategies. I know we took away some of the slotting fee in order to really promote the product. And that's
How did those demos go?
That's something we haven't done yet.
Really?
Yes.
Was that on you or me?
That was on us,
Okay.
and that's been a fault. We've had a couple of disconnects with our chain of management,
Okay.
but it's something we've worked through, and we're ready to begin moving forward as soon as you are ready for in-store
I
sampling.
am ready, because obviously we need all the help we can get.
Absolutely, and what I would really recommend is that we take these 4 SKUs and go full speed ahead and begin with that demo as soon as possible. So depending on when you'd like to start sampling the product, I can make sure that we are ready to go on our end and that we don't have any trouble.
Do you think we've done an injustice by not sampling the core line that you launched at the beginning?
I think there's opportunity for improvement in these numbers, significant improvement, and that will come as a result of sampling. As you recall at the beginning in our first conversation, sampling tends to drive product sales upwards of 16%. So that alone is going to begin turning these numbers around and seeing the numbers that you're looking for.
Right.
Does that address your concern with sampling?
Well, kind of. I guess why these 4 items? I'm just not. It just doesn't feel like yes, you're adding SKUs, but I don't know if you're adding the variety that would be incremental to other Rev. So if I'm a Rev shopper and I'm coming in, why am I going to buy turkey and cheese versus the peppered turkey that you already offer?
That's an excellent question. So your concern is why these 4 in addition?
Yeah, I just don't know if they're really incremental within the Rev brand.
That's a great question. So what we did with these 4 is we took a step back and looked at the entire product line as a whole. And we tried to figure out what we were doing right and where there was room to continue improving on.
Okay.
And one of the things we found, and this was through the IBIS World Report again, is that there's a trend with our consumers for a more healthy, conscious consumer and shopper. And so what that means is our consumers are looking for a healthier product. And what is healthy in the eyes of a consumer? We looked at that question. And what we found is that the typical consumer judges a product based on the protein content. So protein is what's giving the kids energy. It's what's driving the health factor when we're shopping.
Okay.
And so we created a new SKU of products with a minimum of 17 grams of protein in each one.
Is that different than the current line then?
The current line, as you'll recall, we range all the way from 14 up to 17.
Okay.
So this is really the next step and the next wave in the future, if you will.
Okay.
So we really want to make sure that this product gets on the shelf and hits that new demand that we're driving. I have in here the report, and I'd love to share it with you.
Okay.
Well, let me get a hold of it. Alrighty. So if you'll see here, teenagers typically demand more snack foods and prepared meals than older consumers. And then if we continue in the report, Americans lead a fast-paced lifestyle and are willing to spend the extra money for the convenience of restaurant or takeout meals. And that's where this really, with the high protein content, gives us the opportunity to essentially almost give them a meal. Obviously, we're not going to promote just eating the Rev Wrap. We want to make sure there's a full line of balanced nutrition in there as well.
Right.
But it really allows us to supplement and begin adding to that meal value.
Okay.
Does that help you understand why we'd like to go with all 4 of the SKUs?
Yeah, it's going back to if I'm looking at the Rev category, or not the Rev category, but this Lunchable section, I just don't know if I need 12, especially given we just don't have the sales where they need to be. I think probably a better recommendation is to look and see, what are the 2 or the 4 worst sellers, and if you believe that these 4 new ones are the next best thing that's going to help me turn these sales around, then absolutely, I think we should just look at it more of a swap out than an expand. And I'm not saying long term that we don't look at bringing them all in, but that's a lot of risk to incur on a line that we're not sure if it's really going to make it.
I understand, and your concern is a valid concern. Personally, what I've seen success with in the past in bringing this line in different regions, I've spoken to a couple of our other reps in the Northeast, and what they've suggested doing with these new SKUs is going with all 12 for a trial period of 2 weeks. And that's going to give us an opportunity to really benchmark and measure the metrics of success that we're having with the product.
Okay.
And from there, my commitment to you is I can come in after 2 weeks of all 12 being on the shelf and reevaluate what we're seeing in the numbers.
What if the numbers come back that only 6 are worth staying? Are you committed to actually reducing your facings as well?
It's something where I don't think we're going to run into that problem, but if we do, I'm willing to holistically look at what we're seeing
Okay.
I fully believe that we're going to be able to see drastic improvements from the numbers we're looking at today, and that's due to product placement and really bringing that new variety.
Okay.
But I definitely think the 2-week idea is definitely the route we want to go down. Does that sound like something we can do?
I guess one thing we haven't talked about is slotting. Do you have the $5,000 available for slotting on each item?
Part of what we do here at Hormel is we stand behind the product, and that comes with our $30 million marketing strategy.
Mm-hmm.
So what we expect and what we hope from you is that you invest the $14,000 worth of slotting fee in us to create a mutual win for both Hormel and Fast and Fresh. And where you'll see the makeup on that end is rather in a different bucket. Mm-hmm. It's in the sampling and marketing strategy behind the product.
Mm-hmm.
Our commitment is to take that slotting fee and really drive promotion for the product. And I know that's something we haven't seen in the past, but it's something we're going to hit the ground running with in the future.
So my only issue with that, if I'm investing the slotting because I get a marketing plan and all the media that you guys are, that same media is going to Walmart consumers as well.
Yes, ma'am.
So there's nothing very targeted to me that justifies it. And to be honest, I took the concession on slotting on the first 8 items to take another concession on slotting. I've got my buckets I've got to fill as well. That's a big ask of you, given the fact that the numbers aren't supporting this expansion. So I think I've got to stay very true to the $5,000, knowing that I'm incurring a lot of risk by expanding out on this.
So you're concerned with the value you're going to see behind the slotting fee, and your need to have that. Is that correct?
Right. I need those funds because I need these to change.
Okay. So here's what I'm going to recommend then. If slotting fee is something that you're staying tried and true with, originally we did $3,500 per product. Let's go with that $3,500, and my commitment to you is we're going to create an advertisement that is tailored to Fast and Fresh. So we're going, as you remember, we saw the spot ad with the football commercial and the swimming commercial.
Right.
Why don't we work together to create an ad that at the end says found in your local Fast and Fresh stores?
You can do that for $5,000.
It's something I'm going to have to go back and discuss with my marketing and media. I can't guarantee it, but it's something I want to look into for you.
Okay.
So is that somewhere we can kind of meet in the middle?
So here's what I think. I like the idea of maybe investing slotting into something that will help my sales. I can't make the jump to 12 items. Let's look at discontinuing 2 of the slower movers, bringing in 2 of the new items because I think you made a great case for that, but definitely revisiting it. I'm just not ready. I'm not a very rash person. I can't jump in both feet until we start seeing this change.
Okay.
So please, let's come back and let's review this maybe in a month or 2, and let's see if this number starts going the other direction. Let's absolutely jump into it.
Okay, we can definitely do that, and let's go ahead and move forward in that direction.
Okay.
What I'd like to do also is, are we still going with the 2 boxes of each flavor like we discussed in our previous meeting?
Yep.
All right, we can do that.
What are your top 2 that you recommend?
Let's take a look at the data and make sure we go in the right direction. Let's go with the turkey and cheese and the ham and Swiss. Those are the top 2 in this tier. And we will do the valuation on this to make sure we pull out the bottom 2.
Great.
And then can we also set up a meeting maybe in a month to take an assessment of what's working and what's not?
Absolutely.
All right, so I'll put in here our 2-month meeting.
Okay.
And then we went with 2 boxes of each and the slotting fee of $3,500. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right, fantastic. Well, if I can get you to sign here.
And the slotting fee reduces. We're going to invest money into
the promotional advertisements as well. Yes, ma'am.
Great job.
And I will follow up with you on that email on what we're really going to be able to do with the commercial ad and making sure that it's within our budget.
Yeah, I think that would be we just got to focus on this, and I think that would be a great step in the right direction.
Fantastic. Well, I look forward to turning those numbers around in our next meeting in a couple months. So thank you for your time, Erin. Look forward to seeing you.